Hey, everybody. Thanks so much, Parker. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about IBM Cloud Private, which is our private cloud platform that can be installed just about anywhere. Quick tidbit on me. I have been with IBM for 2 years. I'm a technical specialist on our hybrid cloud federal team. So I specialize in private clouds and application integration, as well as DevOps. And before that, I was actually a contractor for the Department of Defense working with SPAWAR on their DevOps transitions on projects. So without further ado, let's get started. So I want everyone to think about this as we enter this presentation. And it's kind of a little storyline of federal customers are being asked to develop, test, and deploy applications basically at the same speed now that commercial entities are able to do it. And every time they do it, they have to do it at enterprise scale. They have a lot of requirements for disaster recovery, backup, and logging. So everything has to be done perfectly at enterprise scale. And that requires the modern tooling and practices to get that done. At the same time, our federal customers almost always have to comply with really stringent security standards. So it's kind of this double standard of everyone expects application development and deployment to be flawless, perfect, and fast, but there are so many more standards that federal customers have to deal with. So we're here to help you get through those and to help you navigate those waters and help you move to cloud and develop those applications quickly. So when people first started moving to cloud, be it public, private, the first reason they always want to move is cost, because cloud infrastructure is typically much more cost effective. You don't have to have your own data centers, you cut down on your staff, you run it when you need it, not when you don't. So it's very cost effective. And then once you're in there, once you've adopted some cloud technologies, typically the next step is to start modernizing your applications, really start gaining the benefits of that cloud platform, not just the cost benefits, but also the application functionality benefits of that platform. And this is where most people are now. They're somewhat through their move to the cloud as fast as they can. And now they don't just want to be there, they want to start benefiting from being there other than just cost. They want the capabilities as well and the convenience. And then once they've kind of got modern applications going, the next step in what draws people to cloud is being able to inject cognitive and artificial intelligence capabilities in real time into your application. I'm not talking about pulling a big data set off, doing some giant number crunching, and coming back with a new feature a couple months later. I'm talking about in real time, as a user is using an application, cognitive capabilities are helping that user, bringing them the data they need and enhancing their capabilities as a human. So that's really step 3. So most people are on step 2, and we're going to talk a lot about how you can get to step 2, secure it, and get those benefits. So at IBM, what we found is that most of our customers aren't just using one cloud, and that's because there's a lot of different clouds out there, and they're all good for different things. They're all different platforms. And not only are they using multiple cloud vendors, but they themselves can't throw everything on the cloud. They need something private. A lot of things for regulatory reasons or performance reasons or maybe just cost-effective reasons need to stay on-premise in a private environment. So we found that there's this need for the private cloud. And sometimes those private clouds are secluded in their own enclave, and sometimes they're integrated with other public clouds. So we specialize in, one, being able to run a private cloud in an enclave, completely secured off from any other network access. And then if you're ready to integrate, we can integrate with public clouds and multiple other public clouds and allow you to get the benefits of using each cloud for what it's good for. And also orchestrating the applications on each one of those clouds so everything's working in harmony. So to kind of wrap things up with IBM's vision of a cloud infrastructure, we see cloud in 3 major ways. One is the public cloud in the sky, multi-tenancy, super cheap, a great way to go. The next most secure is a dedicated cloud. It's still the cloud in the sky, but you're not in a multi-tenant environment. So your hard drive is yours, your processor is yours, your memory is yours. But you're still just ordering platform as a service or infrastructure as a service from another company. And then there's the private cloud, which is behind your firewall, and this is for the hardest hitting workloads, for the most secure workloads. So we strive to give you a consistent experience across all of these options. We want you to be able to bring the same tools of your choice to any of these clouds, be able to use the practices of your choice, be able to use the DevOps tools of your choice, be able to use the analytical tools of your choice across all three of the clouds, and have them well orchestrated between each other. So today we're talking about IBM Cloud Private, which is number 3, all the way over on the right. So without further ado, let me explain kind of what that is. So IBM Cloud Private is a Kubernetes-based software platform that stands up a private cloud on your equipment or on your choice cloud infrastructure as a service. So if you're not familiar with what Kubernetes is, I'll go into that in a little bit, but it's the leading container orchestration platform on the planet right now. Even Docker has given up their Docker Swarm initiative, not entirely, but they're throwing all their eggs in the Kubernetes basket, and so is everyone else, and that's because it's such a great platform. So this IBM Cloud Private software is going to enable you to consume your on-premise hardware as if it were in a cloud. So this is honestly the underlying technology that companies like IBM, Google, and Amazon use to present you with their cloud infrastructure and platform as a service. So you have your developers asking for these capabilities. I want to do APIs and API management. I want to do microservices. I want to do containerized software. I want to be able to rapidly scale up and down. Those are the sorts of things that developers and project leads are asking for. And a lot of the times, especially in federal, there's no access to those sorts of capabilities on the federal clouds, or for security reasons, you can't move to a federal cloud. So this allows you to get those same capabilities with, behind your firewall, completely under your control. One great thing about this, and I'll cover this more later, but we can deploy and function in complete network isolation. So that means we don't need connection to the internet at any time, not during installation, not during functioning, not during scaling. You can run this on your most critically sensitive workloads in your most secured data center or lab or in your SCIF. So we allow you to bring these capabilities to your data or to the secure work locations. Getting near the end of this list here, we're an enterprise class product. That means we have the high availability, the security tools, the monitoring, and also the logging tools that make this private cloud able to meet the security requirements of government. And also because it's so portable and can function in network isolation, we can bring services like analytics, artificial intelligence, and any of your applications to your data. In addition, this is the platform that companies are releasing software on, be it COTS. Government off-the-shelf software is also being released as containers now. Most DevOps tool chains are catering towards containers and also being released as a container, and any custom applications too. So this is the platform of the future. When you buy software, it's going to be developed for Kubernetes to be deployed on Kubernetes. And IBM Cloud Private underlying is a Kubernetes-based platform. So what totally makes up IBM Cloud Private? What are its open source roots? First, it's the Docker engine. Docker is the most popular container engine on the planet. So much software is being developed and deployed using Docker containers that it's just the leading solution. We all know that adopting a containerized strategy will greatly accelerate your software development and your security. So Docker is the underlying package system that we're using. So you release your software as a Docker container, and then you run it on the Kubernetes platform. I already said Kubernetes is the world's leading platform orchestration engine. So this is what handles the scaling and the management and the organization and a lot of the security features of your Docker containers. Helm is another piece of open source software that we package with this. Helm is a deployment management tool for Kubernetes. It allows you to define the way in which your Docker containers are organized, deployed, scaled, etc., so that you can redeploy them over and over and over again. It's called a chart because you basically chart out the way that your Docker containers are deployed. Terraform is one of the other technologies that we've packaged with IBM Cloud Private. It's another open source technology, and we use Terraform to allow us to provision infrastructure as code. Terraform is the leading infrastructure as code tool out there today. And so this not only allows IBM Cloud Private to really be the leader in container orchestration, but really be a strong player in the legacy virtual machine deployment category as well. So diving into our architecture a little deeper, if we start at the bottom, we can see that IBM Cloud Private can pretty much run on any infrastructure as a service, be it VMware, OpenStack, even runs on Power and Z systems, Spectrum. We have fully supported Amazon Web Services deployments. So this really can go anywhere. Also, any commodity x86 system as well. So it's very portable. It's very capable of being deployed, across architectures. For example, we have IBM Cloud Private, where half of our cluster is being run on a Z mainframe, and the other half is being run on an x86 processor somewhere. So it's really flexible in its deployment. So on top of the hardware, we have the Kubernetes-based container platform, but we also give Cloud Foundry because that is another very popular way of deploying containerized applications. It's a different way of deploying containers, but it's very popular, and we didn't want to leave anybody out, so we threw it in there as well. So on top of that are the core operational services that IBM really adds for a value add on top of your Kubernetes platform, on top of your Cloud Foundry platform. So those are things like our security tools, our management tools, being able to manage multiple clouds from a single pane of glass, enterprise class logging, aggregation, those sorts of things. And then on top of that is everything that you can actually deploy on this cloud. So the middleware, IBM Data Power and MQ appliances, those sorts of things. And then there's our artificial intelligence applications, our machine learning, our data science experience, any DevOps pipeline, and then also any open source software that comes packaged as a container, or really any software, COTS, GOTS, you name it, that's packaged as a container can be run on this platform. So why is this so great for government? Why is IBM Cloud Private a wise choice if you're thinking about standing up a private cloud? One, because it's built on open source. That means the skills are out there in the workplace for you to hire people and be successful with this technology. People want to use this technology. Developers are excited about it. It's bleeding edge. It allows them to work faster, get more done, have more fun, be more productive. Second is there's no vendor lock-in, and your applications that you build for this platform are completely portable. And there's no vendor lock-in, there's no vendor lock-in because when you build an application for Kubernetes, when you deploy it to IBM Cloud Private, you can then go and deploy it to any certified Kubernetes installation anywhere on the planet. So Kubernetes gives you a common platform. And that really prevents your vendor lock-in. Another reason is that because it supports Docker, Cloud Foundry, and legacy virtual machine workloads, you have a really good breadth of capabilities there. So you have a great vision across all of your cloud deployments. And so we are not going to leave anybody in the dust. Your applications that are not able to be moved to containers or are slow to move to containers can still benefit from all of the automation and capabilities that this private cloud has to offer. Building on that, IBM Cloud Private has built into it the high availability, disaster recovery, and other features like enterprise logging that would normally be deployed per application, but we bring them to the platform level. So your applications are less worried about these features and can worry more about their functionality while the platform handles high availability. The platform handles disaster recovery and those sorts of things. The platform handles log aggregation. So that's a very powerful tool. Also, this comes with a lot of tools to help you get up and going. And I'm going to go in more into depth on these as the slides progress, but we have tools that help you migrate your virtual machines to containers. So it'll actually analyze your workloads, produce some of the assets you need to move containers, and tell you what's going to be hard and what's going to be easy and what you should do first. Second, we have a lot of tools for securing and monitoring the container. So real-time monitoring and analysis on your containers as they're running makes them way easier to do security on, and it's just way more powerful than what you can do with a virtual machine. Also, we have tools for multi-cloud management, as I've talked about several times. And we have packaged with this developers tools that they love to help them produce code faster and get it to production faster. We have entirely pre-built pipelines for containerized software that we can spin up in a matter of minutes. You can type 6 lines of code, hit deploy, and it'll package that into a container and put it into a test environment in a matter of minutes. So you can go from no environment to code running in a container in a test environment in a matter of minutes. So it's those types of tools that we put with this that really make this a great platform. So another reason this is great for government, and I know I've said it before, I'll say it again, we can put this on your equipment with no internet connection. That means you can run it entirely securely. Installation only takes a few hours. I'm up in DC today. I'm going to go to a government customer and I'm going to install this in under 3 hours. That's my estimate. I think it's going to work. I've done it before in 2.5 hours. But we can get this up and running really, really quickly. Because of that, we can bring this to your data. So we can put the analytical tools and the AI tools and the machine learning tools you need on this. You can put your applications on it. We can rapidly deploy this into network secure enclaves, put the tools you want on it, the applications you want it, and work with your data there rather than having to move your data out of that enclave, which is often completely prohibitive. So let's focus on security because that's kind of what we all came here to see. IBM Cloud Private gives you a lot of tools to make this one of the most secure clouds on the planet. First, we integrate with your enterprise directory. So OAuth, LDAP, if you're using Active Directory, those sorts of things. You're under control of all these user accounts. This is your cloud. It's behind your firewall. You can put very fine-grained access on all of the assets within IBM Cloud Private. You can section off entire namespaces for projects. You can separate dev and prod. You can set up routing so that certain applications are totally unable to talk to each other on the network, etc. Next is monitoring. It comes with an entire ELK stack, a lot of great logging tools, and log aggregation tools and visualization tools, Prometheus, Grafana, a lot of great open source stuff. So all that comes packaged with it and already set up. And in addition, it's ready for your data center if you choose to put this in a data center because we can automatically integrate with the data center monitoring tools like QRadar is a very popular one. So we play nice in the data center environment, and if they have a tool that they already like and are already using, we can integrate with that, and all of the monitoring statistics and logs can go right to that. Next is the encryption. We've got the FIPS 140-2 gold standard compliant mode. What this means is that we can keep your data encrypted at rest and in transit. We can encrypt what we call them pods, but pod-to-pod traffic on the fly inside of Kubernetes and also leaving the cluster. So a pod is a unit of deployment in Kubernetes. It's basically a piece of an application. And what you do inside that pod is totally up to you because that's your application, but we can enforce all the traffic going in and out of that pod to be encrypted. With FIPS 140-2 compliant encryption, and also the secrets management and the other management functionality meets those standards. So there's a bunch of tools in IBM Cloud Private that I'm going to talk about, but in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you see your security toolbox. First up is your pod security policies. These are the types of things where you can set certain packages or rules on containers and packages deployed within those containers on whether or not that container can run, whether it should be flagged, those sorts of things. So you can entirely prevent an insecure container from running on your platform, or you can have it be flagged, and it will give you, through the Vulnerability Advisor, a great dashboard of what's running where and a good feeling of how secure your cloud is. And it also will give you prescriptive guidance on how to fix some of your security flaws. And if you have special needs in that area, these templates are tailorable, so you can whitelist things, you can blacklist things, and you can have certain things bubble up to different levels. It's very customizable, but it comes with a great set already made. Mutation Advisor, well, I'll talk about more later. Istio Service Mesh is a wonderful tool. If you don't know about Istio, I highly encourage you to go Google it right now, look it up. You don't have to, you can DuckDuckGo it or you can Netscape it, but read about it. I truly believe, now this is just me talking, but Istio, I think, is a service mesh, and I think that it is the reason the government will adopt containerized software in Kubernetes. The scaling's great. You know, the capabilities are great, the cost savings are great, the development speed is great. Istio, I think, is what is going to enable the government to really adopt and love this technology. Istio is a thing that's going to allow you to encrypt your traffic to and from each pod. It's going to allow you to run diagnostics on the traffic coming into that pod, intelligent routing, traffic enforcement. You can do your A/B testing, your rolling updates. So Istio is a wonderful tool. Go look it up. It's an incredible security tool that's already packaged with IBM Cloud Private. And then, because we support any software that can be deployed on Kubernetes on this cloud, you can install your own. If you have security applications you like running, they can be installed on IBM Cloud Private. All right, so let's talk about some of those tools that I said I was going to talk about later. Let's do them now. So the IBM Vulnerability Advisor is that thing that takes those security policies that you're making and continuously crawls in real time all of your deployed containers and says, this container has an insecure package on it, and this is what you should do about it. And this % of your containers are insecure, and this is your security stance. You know, general, what is your risk factor? So that's a really great tool, runs in real time. That'd be nearly impossible to do with virtual machines, so it's very simple to do with this tool in containers. It also requires absolutely no code changes to your containers to work. So you can deploy any application you want on your cloud, and this application will start scanning it. IBM Transformation Advisor is another great tool. This is the one that's going to help you take your virtual machine workloads, so your legacy workloads, and decide which of them you want to bring over to containers to be deployed onto IBM Cloud Private or any other container-based cloud. This will, if it works mostly for WebSphere workloads, what it will do is it will actually pull all of the settings out of your WebSphere application servers, analyze them, give you kind of like a risk factors and a difficulty factor for moving this application to a container. And then if it's a good candidate, it'll actually create some of the Docker files for you. So it'll actually create some of the assets you need to move that container over to to move that application into a container and get it running on the cloud. IBM Cloud Automation Manager is that multi-cloud management framework I was talking about. This is what allows you to put IBM Cloud Private on-prem in your data center, put IBM Cloud Private in a cloud in the sky, and see them both through the same pane of glass. Check their health, check their security status, be able to deploy Terraform templates. So that's where we get into virtual machines, infrastructure as code, and also being able to deploy more IBM Cloud Private nodes. IBM Cloud Private can continuously, on your command, deploy more nodes of itself and grow. So IBM Cloud Automation Manager is a really powerful multi-cloud automation tool. Let's look more in depth at Vulnerability Advisor. So what this does is it monitors your workloads in real time, and it looks at everything installed on a container and assesses it. So it will look at the policies that you have set, and again, a great set of policies comes stock and will be updated all the time, but you can also add your own, but it will take those policies and apply them to all of your containers. So say it detects a container running that has a very old version of Python on it. If you look in the screenshot, this has identified a critical risk in the container that this is looking at right now. It says that there's a Python upgrade is needed. So this, in real time, scans all of your containers continuously. It requires no changes in code to your applications to complete that. And that would be, I mean, that's like a feat of security when it comes to virtual machines. But with containers, just because of the way they're built, it's so much more effective to do this sort of analysis. And if it detects something is totally insecure and you've said, I don't want that sort of thing running on my cloud, it'll stop it from running on your cloud. It will prevent users from deploying that container on your cloud. The next really cool security tool we have is Mutation Advisor. So this one is a bit different. It constantly scans the containers for changes. So as opposed to having insecure software packages installed on each one of your containers, this makes sure nothing has changed in your container. So typically with a containerized software deployment, you're not storing data that changes in the container. You're storing that outside of a container. So the container itself really shouldn't change in a 12-factor microservices app. But if something does change in there, that's usually cause for alarm. So in this example here, in these screenshots, what's happened is someone has gone into this container, maliciously or not, and it looks like they've installed Nano or opened Nano and changed a password. And you can see up in the top right the processes that were started in order to do that. And as it was scanned over time, the processes were started and processes were discovered that they were started. And those processes weren't running when the container was deployed. And then down at the bottom, you see the actual files that were changed in that container. So this is a really powerful security tool. It's monitoring the inside. And we do a lot for perimeter security, but when someone's already in our network, it's very hard to stop them. This immediately identifies those security threats so that you can take action on them. So now that I've hopefully convinced you that ICP is a great private cloud for you to choose, and it is secure enough to run your applications, and it has all the tools you need to start modernizing your applications and advance your journey to cloud, let's start talking about some of the use cases that this enables. Whenever I meet with customers who are moving to cloud, they're usually trying to do two things. Right off the bat, they want to be able to develop cloud-native applications from the ground up, because they always have some greenfield development going on. And two, they want to take their legacy applications and modernize them, because the legacy applications are too expensive to run, and they just need to be more up-to-date and easier to manage. So those right there, if you have applications that can't be in a public cloud for whatever reason, ICP immediately enables these two use cases. Looking at number 3, if you have a cloud platform that does not have Kubernetes on it or does not have container orchestration services on it, so say you're using a cloud and all it does is offer virtual machines, we can deploy onto those virtual machines and allow you to use those resources in a more cost-effective manner, as well as allow you to integrate anything you deploy on that cloud with other clouds. And you can grow and shrink on demand and really take advantage of modern technology on what may be, I know this might sound weird, but an antiquated cloud that doesn't offer these services. Taking advantage of the services in other clouds is a big selling point of IBM Cloud Private. Say you have some information that it can be connected to a network, but still must remain in your data center, we can set up IBM Cloud Private so that you can use modern applications on that data, protect that data with our security gateways, and then as you are comfortable, consume APIs and software as a service from other clouds in a very controlled manner. Where I talked about being able to monitor, control, and meter the traffic leaving IBM Cloud Private, entering IBM Cloud Private. That really enables you to keep a good eye on what's going on and comfortably use other cloud resources from other clouds. Speaking of data that must be kept in your data center, this allows you, as a platform for artificial intelligence or machine learning, this allows you to bring those capabilities to your data where they might not otherwise where you might not otherwise be able to bring your data to them. So a good example would be data science experience and some of the Watson and machine learning APIs that IBM offers. Traditionally, you would have to bring your data to our cloud in order to use those services. But with IBM Cloud Private, we are deploying a growing library of those AI and cognitive services on IBM Cloud Private so that you're able to bring them into your data center or into your secure enclave and use them on your data. So you're probably thinking, this sounds great. I don't have the skills to do this. Where do I get started? So we offer services, and they're totally tailorable to help you get started with your cloud journey. As I said, I'm up in DC at a federal customer today, and we're going to install this together, and I'm going to get this customer up and running. We have services just like that, totally tailorable to help you start your adventure using IBM Cloud Private. One of the most popular ones that we do is like a 2 to 3 week engagement where we come in, we work with your team to determine the best architecture and the best use cases for IBM Cloud Private with your applications. We'll get our private cloud running inside of your firewall on your infrastructure, and then we'll also work with your team to take an application and move your application over to IBM Cloud Private. So we'll containerize it with you. We'll turn it into a 12-factor app. We'll get it running. We do this with you so that by the time we leave, you have a fully running application. It's modern. It's a 12-factor app. It's in your private cloud. And then also, you have a trained-up team who's able to continue doing that and modernizing your capabilities. So they have a great example to look back on, and they also have the skills to move forward. So these services are really customizable to you, and we have a lot of success with them. Okay, so I'm done talking, and now I think it would be great for my partner Parker to give you guys an actual run-through of this software. So he's going to do a demo, and we're going to start sharing his screen now, and he's going to give you a live run-through of IBM Cloud Private of a multi-node cluster. So Parker, are you ready?
Thank you, Chase. Yeah, so I'm Parker Bissett. I'm a cloud integration architect with U.S. Federal Team, and today we're going to show you some of the capabilities and technologies that Chase talked about. So first of all, can you guys see my desktop? Is it, I think, okay, so looks like that everything is good. So here is the IBM Cloud Private GUI. It's a web-based application. Basically, you access it through a browser, and when you open up, it gives you an overview of the health of your cluster and your cloud, memory, CPU. This is a very general overview. There are features and capabilities that you can access through this menu at the side. We're not going to go through all of this at this point. I want to show you some of the kind of fun stuff that people really like to kind of play with. The ultimate goal is to provide you a secure applications and give you all the tools and all the capabilities that you need to innovate, to develop applications. We have a whole array of those, about 120 already in place. Chase mentioned Helm charts as a vehicle that we use to deploy applications to IBM Cloud Private. So there is about 120 of them here, various applications. I cannot show you them all. A lot of those are IBM. We also have third party. We have blockchain. We have data power. We have application servers like WebSphere. We have Jenkins, DevOps tools that is very popular to basically automate all the deployment and DevOps. And I'm going to walk you through one of them. For example, IBM WebSphere Liberty. This is the application server that we use. So if you click on any of these, it opens up the Helm deployment GUI that allow you to customize the code that you're looking for, the functionality. In this case, we are talking about Liberty, and be able to deploy it to IBM Cloud Private. So when you open up, the first thing that you see is a general overview. It shows you the versions that is available. One of the capabilities is that you can have different versions of an application running at the same time. There's no problem. And there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can go and read about this and step-by-step follow the instructions in order to set it up. As you know, a application server or any software, when you deploy it, there has to be customized. There are things that you need to set. So for those who really like to get into it, you can go ahead and do that. Or you can click on Configure. So your approach with this, you're getting this GUI. You can type My Liberty or give it a name. And basically, the namespace is a key security feature. We talk about secured climate, and we're going to talk about this. This is a shared environment. There are many people who have access. So I have given a namespace, which is my own area that I work with. I can see other namespaces because I am an administrator. But for a lot of people that comes as a user, they won't be able to see other people's namespaces. One of the key security features. You can say that you agree, and then you will go ahead, and it will give you options to customize your deployment. Those who are familiar with this, I don't want to go through all of these, but it gives you all these sort of customizable parameters that you need to set up. If you're in JMS, you can set up the JMS, the port numbers. SSL, again, Chase mentioned security. The communication is a key area. In IBM Cloud Private, there are 3 levels of communication. It is networking between the containers in a pod, and Chase mentioned pod and containers. Then there is the communication between the pods and different nodes, and also the external. All of these are FIPS 140-2 compliance. There is no gap on every type of security that is possible in ICP that is not government compliance with respect to SSL and cryptography. Once you move on, you get the logs, micro-profile. This is a key technology that we have with respect to DevOps and automating it. Here is one area that people are very interested in, the number of replica. So this is your failover, load balancing, and basically you will tell the system how many instances of this application to deploy and where to deploy it. And here, for example, there is a minimum, maximum. You can work on the memory and give it some limitations, CPU, the architecture. If you want to pass any argument with JVM, with Java, there's a place you pass it. So basically, you go through this, you customize it, and you click on the install button. And once you do that, it gives you a web interface to Liberty that is now running under Cloud Private. As a user, you don't manage it as far as the number of the replica. All of that is happening behind the scene, logging, security, auditing, all of that. But you just get this and you start working with it. So it is like basically any other application that you have. You're still working on it, and IBM support that. I don't want to go through this process again, but this is basically Jenkins. This is our DevOps that we use, and basically it is something that you can use for development. We also have ODM. This is Operational Decision Manager, another tool. So all of these 120 or so Helm charts that you saw can be deployed, and you can use it and run it under IBM Cloud Private. Once we get this out of the way, let's dig a little bit more into details. So kind of walk you through this, and you can look at the area. So the first thing is Helm releases. I want to show it to you. This is the basically list of all these charts that is already been deployed. So you can look at the charts that are in there, and you can look at the configuration and how it's deployed and get more information about that. There's a whole bunch of them here, as you can see. You can basically narrow down on different ones. And so here is the Liberty, the one that I deployed. As you can see, I have two of them. I told you you have different versions. The one that has a yellow mark, it says that it's not updated, so there's an updated version. The one at the bottom is the updated version. You can launch it, as I already did, and you can look at it. Any one of these Helm releases you can open up, and basically it will give you the idea of the current version. This one is according to the current version. The config map area, we're going to walk through this, is area that you can configure what you pass at the runtime to the environment, the deployment model. So we requested for 2, and currently there are 2. All of them are updated, and 2 are available. And the concept of secrets, we're going to talk about that. This is TLS, again, something we talk about that. And the type that is associated, we're going to walk through this. This is your security, your certificate, again, directly ties to the secure cloud environment for government. Once we go, let's carry on and move forward. So the other thing I was going to show to you was the actual networking part, the services that are available. And these are basically the areas that allow you to communicate and connect. And if you open any one of these, it gives you more information about where you can access these, and basically the port number. So developers will give this port number, and they just log into the browser. They bring it up, and they have access to Liberty as I showed it to you. Again, the port numbers that are assigned for the external access, completely different from internal networking. Those are separated, and one of the key areas that allows the more secure networking piece, which is usually targeted when people want to hack into these technologies. Config maps is what I kind of showed it to you. It's the area that allow you to pass information to the to your deployment at runtime. So this is Liberty that I kind of deployed, and it gives me a whole bunch of information about what has. Those who are familiar can recognize this. This is the way you configure your Liberty, the feature set. So this is the SSL feature that we talk about, and the feature manager. So for people who are familiar with this, this is the configuration that we pass on configure maps for Liberty. We talk about secrets. This is basically all your certificates. Again, within IBM Cloud Private, all certificates and cryptography is government mandated compliance. On SSL and TLS, we're talking about FIPS 140-2 compliant cryptographic modules. There is no gap inside in any kind of communication and between the pods and the containers. On the platform side, so this is the way we actually monitor. Chase mentioned we have a lot of emphasis on open source technology. We integrate them, we bring them into technology, we offer it. So here we got alerting, logging, metering, monitoring, and some of the node storage. Chase talk about vulnerability advisor, transformation. So with respect to logging, for example, Kibana is a popular logging engine. Everybody likes that, a technology that we bring up. We have a application here that allows you to see how it's working. So I can basically log in here something. This is an application level logging. So KubeToy is one of those Helm charts that I showed it to you. It is basically a Java-based application. We kind of put it in so people can come and play with it. And basically, I can send a log, hello, Keto from Parker. I say log it. And then I can go back to Kibana. I can do a search for Parker. And it should find it here and tag it. So let's search for it. There it is. Hello from Parker. So this is the way you kind of, for developers, we do a lot of application level logging, and they put it in place. And those logging, how they process it, how they access it, how they manage it, all is a problem. Again, a technology that has been taking care of all of that, and this is just one part of it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we can use. Moving along on the configuration side. So on the platform, we got metering and monitoring, and we can go through some of these technologies. Basically, these are the areas that allow us to monitor and meter who is using what and where. A key area for government or for any is very in detail. They're captured. You can provide reports. These reports can be downloaded into spreadsheets or other formats. You can focus on containers and platforms, and you can focus on, there's different ways you can break it down and look into some of the details that it provides. Very powerful feature, key area for security and understanding what is going on in the technology. I'm going to show you the nodes. That's also a good area. This kind of gives you an overview of where everything is running. This cluster, as you can see, has 6 nodes. There are 3 what we call worker nodes. There are proxy master nodes, VA nodes, the management nodes. And you can go through these areas and look specifically at the nodes. This one is a worker node. Gives you some idea how much it is used and where it is used. It also gives you the things that are running on that node. So you can be very detailed. You can get detailed information about what is happening on each of these nodes very easily without having to go and log in and run all the commands. Vulnerability advisor just talk about this. So this is a key area that will allow you to basically identify the areas that is problematic. There is a default set. You can add it, customize it, add more into it. It is focused on the namespaces. Some of the namespaces may be more sensitive, so you can keep it tighter. Some of them are more relaxed, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm looking at the namespace that I usually work with. That's the one that was assigned to me. So as you can see, this is a shared environment. There are so many people that are working on this. One of the capabilities IBM Cloud Private to manage the production load of having so many people running different things. So here, when we come, the way you customize it, the way you configure it is, one, you get to your namespace. Then you can actually go and manage the policies. And what that would do, it allows you, it gives you a list of the things that you can set up and monitor on your namespace on everything that you deploy. I don't want to go through the list and read it to you, but here is basically some of the known vulnerabilities. If you're deploying a package with something that is already known, you can flag it. There's a lot of low-level information at Linux side, and you can see beginning from the password to the root to the file sharing, who have access to what kind of security is put on what folder. These are the key areas of administration of the operating system and other tools, which is usually targeted and changed when there's a hack or a problem. SSH, for example, is an area. So you can go through it. There's a whole bunch of them. And these are basically, as you can see, it says standard or default policy. There are more you can add to it. You enable it, you run it, and then it will constantly monitor in your namespace all the technology, all the pods and containers, and will flag everything that it finds that is not compliant. Very powerful feature and key area of security for IBM. I'm sorry, for the clients. So here is Chase mentioned authentication, how we integrate with basically everything that is out there and how you're using it, so you don't have to change anything. There is a authentication technology that you use, LDAP. We hook up with it, so there are ways that we can do it. And this is a GUI that very easily connects to that, and there are other ways you can do it. Repositories, we talk about this. All those applications that you saw I brought up in the beginning, they come from these repositories. The thing I wanted to show to you was that a lot of these, if you look at it, are basically internet repositories out there, and a lot of our clients, especially government, they don't want it. We really don't want to give people access to repositories that are out there. There is one repository that is dedicated to this IBM. It's secured. It comes with a product, and it is what we recommend for security, and you can fully control that and go through it. Don't need to go outside and rely on repositories that are on public. But if you want, they are available. You can go. Again, focus on security feature and making sure that everything is in one area. Then namespace is also very important. I already talked about that. And basically here is the concept of namespaces that you allow different people or group to come and have their own area. They cannot cross that boundary. You can keep everything separate. And within a namespace, we have the concept of teams. There's not much time. I cannot go through that. So you can define development team, production team, test team, and give them specific access and tools. So very granular, secure, and powerful tool to assign your workloads and people to areas that they want to work and keep them separate from each other. Pod security, again, another key area with respect to securing the pods. And these are basically the policies that comes, and you can identify those. I'm going to show you some features of it. We're running a little bit short on time. So basically, you can look at how you want to secure your pod, the volumes, and you want to run it under what name, the user and groups, how you give them access. So you can go through this, and it shows you all different capabilities that you have in order to customize your security. Once you do that and you create that, this will be assigned to the namespace that you're working with, and all the technology that you deploy would comply with the policies that you set up here. The quota, this is also another key area that allows you to basically identify how much CPU and memory, so there's nothing that people can go through and just overwhelm the system by running things that are not properly configured. So this was, hopefully I give you an overview of all the technology and how it works. I'd like to give you some time for questions. And if there's any questions, Chase and I would be happy to answer them now.
Great. Thank you so much, Parker. So we had a question. It was about FedRAMP certification, and it was, is this product FedRAMPed? Because it's a cloud. And the answer to that is you don't need it. This is not a cloud service provider. This is a piece of software you run on your infrastructure. So this does not require a FedRAMP certification. And if you're going to put this in a public cloud, you'd want that public cloud to be FedRAMPed. But again, this piece of software does not need a FedRAMP certification. Someone asked if there are any limitations to the offline mode. The answer is no. You have to bring all your own assets into that enclave wherever you're installing it, but no, the functionality is the same. Sorry, Parker, did you have something to say?
No, as you pointed out, one of the areas of security that we focus a lot is that we need to get things done without access to public internet, run it, secure it, and provide the services. So basically, that's the feature that we heavily emphasize, and it provides a secured setup end-to-end.
Right. Another question was about what kind of analytical capabilities are available on ICP. This is basically the platform for IBM to release their analytics tools on and their artificial intelligence tools on. We're adding to that every day, and we actually currently have an entire version of ICP called ICP for Data that focuses on that and comes with a lot of those tools already added to the repositories. And the other question was, how long does it take to install? And we can do a multi-node installation with high availability in just under a few hours. And I think that was all the questions, and I'll open it up to any more before we send everybody off.